What's up, gang? So I made me some potato fries with chicken and a very cheesy sauce. These are loaded fries. Firstly, I peeled and cut my potatoes into fries. I cut them a little bigger than I usually do because I was going to boil them and double fry them. After washing the starch off the potatoes, I tossed them in a pot to boil. As them babies were boiling, I thinly chopped some red onions, tossed them in some vinegar, added a little salt and set them aside. Next, I got started with some bacon bits. I diced up my thin bacon slices and tossed them in a pan to fry. I didn't add any oil because these bastards are quite greasy. I fried the bacon up until it was crunchy, and if you don't like crunchy bacon, you can make it however you like it. When the potatoes became slightly translucent but still stiff and hard, I drained the water out and pat them dry. I put them on the side to cool down and to later be fried again. While the potatoes were cooling down, I started making my caramelized onions. I chopped two big yellow onions into thick strips. I then added a tablespoon of butter to the bacon grease from earlier and began to slow cook the onions. As they cooked on low heat on the side, I started frying my potatoes. I removed them from the oil after 5 minutes when they had cooked through but hadn't turned golden brown yet. As the fries cooled down, I began to prepare some thick old chicken bitties. I cut the breasts in half, smeared them with oil and seasoned them with some cayenne, cumin and salt. I then put them in the oven to cook. After, I started with my second fry. Double frying chips supposedly makes them crunchier. I fried them until they were a perfect golden brown. They looked incredible. I seasoned them with cheap spice, a bit of salt, and put them on the side. At this point, my onions had caramelized exactly how I wanted them to. The chicken was ready as well, so I cut it into bite-sized cubes and put it all on the side. Lastly, the cheese sauce. I tossed a stick of butter on a pan and let it melt on heat. I added a tablespoon of flour and whisked for a couple of minutes. I then added 2 cups of milk and whisked until everything was mixed in well. As the mixture was cooking down, I grated a 200-gram block of cheddar. I then added a pinch of salt and a teaspoon of cayenne to the mixture. Add black pepper if you have it. When it slightly thickened, I added in the cheese and whisked. I sprinkled in some paprika and whisked again. When everything was blended in and it had reached the consistency that I was looking for, it was ready. Finally, it was time to plate. I laid down the fries. I added the chicken. You can use mince or beef strips if you want in place of the chicken. I added the caramelized onions, drizzled on the cheese sauce, pickled red onions, sprinkled the crunchy bacon bits, and garnished with spring onions. The fries were perfect. They had a perfect crunch on the outside and they were soft and fluffy on the inside. The bacon bits were slapping. The caramelized onions were singing in my mouth. The pickled onions came through with that crucial fresh element. The cheese sauce was the soul that tied it all together. Although next time I think I'll just throw in regular processed cheese slices because the cheddar was a bit grainy and I was going for a smoother texture.